Good morning and welcome to the Licensed Dad. So today I was thinking I might touch on television. It's a contentious issue in my household. We have one television and we are cord cutters, which means we haven't actually had cable since 2013, I want to say. It's worked out fine for us. For the most part, my wife and I are quite outdoorsy. In summer, we spend the entire time outside in our backyard or camping or, what have you. So we watch very little television, maybe when the kids are asleep, at 9 or 10 o'clock at night and can't be outside because of the bugs. Kids, however, Netflix, YouTube, Cody. Those are our three sources of television. Wow, television. So my kids are allowed to use my old telephone. I have a Samsung S4, which it was my main phone for a couple of years. And when I upgraded to my current phone, which I think I've lost, here it is. It's the One 2, my birthday gift last year for my wife. Thank you. Instead of reselling it, we thought we would let the kids use it because they're not allowed to use my wife's iPhone or this phone. So what we have done is we've established some rules around the house, which never go over well. Kids do not like rules, but they have to have them. Come up with your rules. Stick to them, please. So the way it works is my daughter's in school right now. My son is not. And they get out of bed, they pop up, their eyes open. Cartoons. During the week, no cartoon. So what they are allowed to do is maybe read a book. My daughter likes to procrastinate when it comes time to getting ready for school. She's responsible for getting herself sorted out and will make her lunch or whatnot. In the meantime, my son plays. When she leaves for school, then he's allowed to watch a little bit of cartoons for half hour, an hour or so, while my wife is having her coffee and kind of waking up. I'm usually down here working. Coffee. Then, for the rest of the day, television's pretty much done. And then it's activities, playtime, friends, what have you. My daughter goes to school just down the street, so when the days that she decides not to eat at school, she comes here, no television. When she gets home at 3:30, depending on the day, there are days where she'll play with one of her friends, usually for about half an hour to an hour, 4:30, and then homework, get it done. That usually takes about half an hour, which means from about 5 until 5:30 or 6, when we have dinner, she can watch cartoons. And they watch them together. Then we have dinner and no television after. Now, you can experiment yourself. But I have read in multiple locations that, and you can see this for yourself, what children's cartoons are all about color and splash and this ridiculous energy, like shows like SpongeBob or Teen Titans, where all they do is just yell and run around and throw things all the time. It's mind-boggling that this is what children watch. And so when my kids watch shows of this type that get them all wound up, I can't expect them to go to sleep afterwards. So very, very, very early on, we came up with this rule of no television after dinner. Period. This is Fridays is usually about the only time that they're allowed to do this. We'll let them watch a movie or something while my wife and I will have dinner quietly. Just simply because the next morning is Saturday, they can sleep in if they get tired and whatnot. And they're both old enough now that when they get up in the morning, they can grab themselves either my tablet or our old phone, or they can use the television right here, and they can watch the shows that we have pre-approved. What that means is the shows that we have downloaded or purchased, I don't know, iTunes or some DVDs that we have that they can use Kodi to watch so that we know what the content is. Or they can use Netflix, which both of my kids have a profile in my account. And what that does is my son has I don't remember what it's called, it's like a well, maybe not a pre-toddler, it's like a toddler account. You can actually choose and say that this is a child, whereas my daughter uses the preteen kid account. So what Netflix does is they pre-filter certain content for them. There's My Little Pony and that type of stuff. Still have to keep an eye out because the shows for the most part are okay, except for things that I personally dislike, like the SpongeBob and Teen Titans, and there's this other one called Camp. I don't remember what it's called, but it blows my mind. It's like drivel. It literally makes my brains melt and pour out of my ears. So that's television. I find that too many parents are far too willing to use their televisions as a babysitter and do what you want. But as your kids get older, you'll notice that the things that they watch on television really do have an impact on how they act, how they play. My son's gotten into the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Now, I watched that when I was a kid. But there are different versions of the show. And you have to keep an eye out. You'll notice that on the channel that Gabrielle runs, the Canuck Kids, the very first video that Simon wanted to put on was of him being a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle. And he did a little song and dance, but immediately he went into swinging a sword mode. It is what it is. My wife and I consider ourselves helicopter parents. I'm okay with that, because to me all that means is I'm there and I'm paying attention to what they're doing and what is influencing them. If that needs to be coined as a helicopter parent, who, if you don't know, means I'm always hovering around, I'm okay with that, because as far as I'm concerned, it's just me doing my job. Now, the one thing about television for a cord cutter like us is YouTube. YouTube's a whole other beast, just simply because God knows what's going to show up. Now, my kids like watching a lot of kid channels. There's something called, what is it called? Little Heroes. There's, I don't remember. I'll put a bunch of recommendations in the bottom here. Problem with YouTube is that there's not a great deal of parental control. And it's the ads. The ads are mind-blowing. Now, I'm on YouTube. It's new, but even I find it interesting that when you post a video, they don't ask you what the target audience is, right? There's an option to say it's age restricted. And I don't even know exactly what that means. It just means, if you're registered with your Google account, you'll be able to watch it if you've put in a birth date, and I think you have to be 18. Presumably, if you show up and you're not using a Google account, you don't have one at all, it won't show it to you. Whatever. It's not absolutely what I'm referring to, though there is no guarantee anybody's even using that, because by default it's turned off, not on. No, what I'm referring to is some of the ads. Like my kid can be watching a video of someone doing Legos, and then suddenly an ad for a Corvette shows up. Or, Pfizer, or, Viagra, or, one of these perfume ads. And like, what are you doing, YouTube? Like, seriously. Now, some people will tell me, oh, there's YouTube Kids and whatnot. You'll note that YouTube Kids was only rolled out to the US. It's geo-blocked. What that means is if you do not have a US IP address, you cannot use it. Netflix is geo-blocking. There are a bunch of companies that have started geo-blocking. I understand. I work in the IT world. I understand it has to do with licensing and whatnot. I don't understand how an app made for children to ensure that children can watch children-oriented programming has taken, I think now, 2 years to not be rolled out to a mass market. It's just one example. Now, these are some of my concerns. It's what being a dad is. A lot of the times, when I want to introduce my kids to something new, I actually check out a few websites. There's one, it's called Common Sense Media. I like it a lot. There's another one I use. I don't remember what it's called right off the top of my head. I'll usually go to IMDb and I'll look in the, there's a section at the bottom of every video or movie or TV show entry that talks about like sex and violence and profanity. I'll check that out. But there are a few things that you can do to help yourself out. One of those is watching some of these shows with your kids. Now, I understand some of them are like some of the ones I keep mentioning over and over again. There are some interesting ones, though, that we've watched recently. that actually, you can get into with your kids because they're not necessarily this mindless drivel. There's some quality things that are available. One of them that I have to mention is the Avatar: The Last Airbender series. Now, my kids are probably like a lot of other kids. When you know, they watch something, they rewatch it, and they rewatch it, and they rewatch it. And when you suggest to them that they watch something else, they're actually hesitant to do that just simply because it's going to take their time away from watching the thing they like. And then they like that thing, and then they watch it forever and ever and ever. So Avatar was like this. The interesting thing about Avatar is that I read the comments about it, and it played originally about, I don't know, 7 or 8 years ago, maybe longer now. And it got like tremendous ratings. It was never really on my radar. And for whatever reason, I decided to check it out about 6 months ago. And the comments and the ratings, and some of them were from parents and whatnot, made me actually want to sit down and watch this with my kids. So I actually kind of had to, force them to choose this instead of something else, just simply because I wanted to give them the chance to try something new. We sat down and we watched one episode, and after the first 5 minutes, there was no talking. They were just both mouth open, and it was pretty good. So we watched, I think, 2 episodes. Then I actually, which is something I don't usually do, I actually made them stop, watch something else. And then we did this on a Saturday afternoon. And then what happened is over the next, I don't know, 4 months or so, every Saturday afternoon, if it was yucky out, we would sit and watch 1 to 2 episodes of Avatar. And I think there's 4 seasons. And it was pretty amazing. It was like an event for us. So we'd make popcorn. My wife could go upstairs and read a book, have a nap, what have you. And it was time for me and the kids. And it was fun because we talked about it afterwards, and we could have little discussions about the good guys and the bad guys and why some people are doing certain things. And I could actually be part of this discussion because I had watched the show with them. So that was, I think, a very worthwhile investment of my time. And it was not painful on my part, just simply because it was enjoyable. It was not a show just made for kids. It was pretty smart. The Ghibli studios, I might not be pronouncing that right, make awesome shows. My kids love My Neighbor Totoro. I'm going to put a bunch of things that, really went over well in my household down below in the description. You can take a look. So basically, television and cartoons and movies are a huge influencer on your children. My kids, anyways. So if you're taking suggestions, keep an eye on what they're watching. Maybe join them in some parts of it. We're actually considering right now letting our daughter watch Star Wars. Now, some people will say she's 10. Oh my God, how does she not watch Star Wars yet? Context. About a year ago, we put the Peter Pan cartoon on for her, and about halfway through, during the first sword fight, she said she was scared, and we turned it off. Every kid is different. I know people, I have mentioned this to people that we were going to let them watch Star Wars, and they were just blown away because their 3-year-old had seen it 100 times. Good for you. Personally, I'm not going to show a 3-year-old Star Wars. Everybody's different. Everybody's kids are different. There you go. You need just be part of it. Helicopter parent, apparently. But you know what? I'm okay with that. They have their freedom. They can watch. They have, between Netflix and Kodi, they probably have 250 things they can watch from. They've all been somehow pre-approved by us, in that, in part we're trusting Netflix to do their job. But I can go through her profile and see what she's watching. And my office here is literally right next to the TV. So sometimes I'll be sitting here and I'll put earphones on and I'll work, and they can watch some television right there. Doesn't bother me, but it gives me an idea of what they're watching. I can't imagine what, you know, people who have cable are going through, just simply because, you have no control over what's being watched. Yes, you have parental controls on stations and whatnot, but there's no determining what shows the network is going to be playing. So good luck with that one. So I guess that's enough jabbering for today. My coffee's getting cold, never a good thing. So there you go. Vlog entry number 2. The perils of television. So tell me what you think. Leave a comment below, subscribe, maybe share this video with some friends of yours who are in the same boat we are. Visit our website, hit me up on Twitter, Instagram, and let's have a discussion. Figure out, this world of television and this addiction that children and a lot of parents have. So there's no right or wrong answers. We're all figuring it out. Have a nice day. Enjoy being a dad.